I would like to express my gratitude for you on behalf of the people who will listen to this conversation translated, that you dedicate your time for us, for your sharings with us. And very honestly, the first time I contacted you, that was last year, I had a very special feeling talking to you. And somehow I felt that even though you live in the United States, I don't know where you were born,
In the
but
United
in
States.
the United States, somehow I feel a connection between you and this place that I can call Hungary. But I speak about the energy here, not really the place Hungary. And somehow I have a thought that comes to me a lot of times, that there used to be an old civilization here in this place, which is kind of sleeping, and in the future it will be more active. And I think that it was not a coincidence that you came to Hungary several times when we had the conference, the Crystal Skull conference, when I was still not into this subject, but I know that you were here.
Yeah.
And I know that you still remember those times.
Oh, yes, very much so. And so anytime I have a chance to connect with my extended family in Hungary, it's a great pleasure and joy for me, because I really had very special experiences, and there's very special energies in Hungary too that I experienced when I was visiting. So thank you for having me here and giving me this chance to talk to my extended family again. I do have one story I want to share, which I forgot to mention ever,
Yes?
and that is, it's connected to the most famous Hungarian composer, Franz Liszt,
Nice.
which which in Budapest there's like a museum for him. There was indication that's come up for me that I may have been his son in a past life,
Oh, really?
because yes, because I also am a musician, and I've actually done a song. I call it the Crystal Skull theme song, which I think I played at the conference. I think I played it at the conference, and I think that he influenced part of that song from Spirit when I wrote it several years ago. So that's another connection, soul connection that I have with Hungary that I never got a chance to mention. So I thought I would mention it today,
Thank you so
since
much.
we're
I mean,
talking about it.
it's very interesting. I read your article that you sent me some days ago, and even there I could read that you connect music with the crystal skies and meditation. So you think
Mhm.
it's important to connect sounds, music with the crystal skulls?
Oh, most definitely. The most powerful meditation that I've ever had in my entire life has been meditating with one of my personal crystal skulls, which
It's
this
portal?
is this is one of them. I think this one was shown in the book too somewhere.
Yes, it's portal, right?
Yes, Portal de Luz. So
Portal.
he was the first one I received. He's pretty
Really.
heavy, pretty heavy. I'm
I
trying
was
to,
hoping that you would show him.
yeah. So
Mm.
he said, "Dad, you got to show me to the people in Hungary. Remember when we visited? I miss Hungary too." So he misses Hungary too.
So portal was here in Hungary with you, wasn't it?
Yes, he was. So that means that he has the energy of Hungary. So as we travel, then he shares that energy with other people that we meet in other countries and other parts of the world. So it's very interesting.
Several times when you mentioned to me about the conference, you spoke about the golden skull. And
Hmm.
when I was reading your article, there I read about the blue skull, and I know that you wrote a book about it. And somehow it came a very strange thought to me, that is it possible that the blue skull and the golden skull have a kind of connection, even
Yeah,
though presenting a level of consciousness, maybe? I don't know.
yeah. I think they're connected. Um, since the book on the blue skull has not been translated into Hungarian, although I can't remember in our book if I put something in there or not, because it's based on the version that we did for Holland. So there may be a little bit of information on the blue skull. I don't know. When I talk about going to Peru, because that's where I was looking for the blue skull. But I think that the blue skull and this gold skull could be connected. But the idea of a gold skull didn't come from me. It came from the people that I was meeting in Hungary through the conference. And then after the conference in 2007, I came back at the end of the year and I was doing some more lectures and different things. And I remember there were several people saying they had visions about a gold skull. So I would assume it could be a skull that's made out of quartz crystal, but it has the color of gold. Um, or it could be gold. There was a person I talked to, I think it was in Arizona many years ago, who said to me that through an alchemical process, there is a possibility that there could be a skull made from gold, but it's done in such a way that it kind of looks like quartz, but it's actually fully gold. So I don't know if this would be the skull or not, but there were Hungarian people, as either during the conference or when I returned at the end of 2007 and the early part of 2008, that were feeling the presence like it was hidden somewhere in Hungary. I forget, there's the sacred mountain that you have by
Pilish
Budapest.
mountain. Yeah, Pilish mountain.
Yeah, so people were saying they thought that it may be hidden within that mountain somewhere.
And do you think
So
it has a physical appearance or it's just energetic appearance? You don't know.
I don't know. I mean, the blue skull tells me it's not in the physical reality right now, but it will manifest at some point.
That's why I was asking my question, because I read about the blue skull that it had this message for you, which
Right.
is interesting.
Yes. So, and it's right here for me. I always feel it on my left side above my head in the air. It's always there energetically. Um, so it could be the gold skull, maybe the same type of thing, that it might not be in the physical, that it was in the physical reality at some point in the past, and then it went into the higher vibration, waiting until it's the right time to manifest. This is the information I've received. So it's very difficult to prove something like that when it's totally telepathic, you
Yeah.
know. But the Blue Skull encourages me to write about it, to talk about it. So I assumed that, by doing that, it's kind of prepared people, when this crystal skull is supposed to come out.
You were very lucky to see several Asian crystal skulls.
Hmm.
And know that there are lots of modern crystal skulls. I'm curious what you think about the modern ones, because some people say that the ones that are carved nowadays have no value. Do you agree with them?
No, I do not agree with that. For example, Portal de Luz I showed you is a modern skull. It was carved by a carver in Brazil who's very famous, and he's, I know he's gone into Holland and Belgium, and everybody loves him.
Mr. Souza, no? Souza, Leandro Souza, was it him?
Yeah, yeah,
I met him in Switzerland last year.
yeah. So he's been traveling around the box, but after I received Portal de Luz, within a year or so, I visited him in Brazil, and at that time he didn't really know, why people were interested in crystal skulls, and now he's done thousands of them. So so Leandro has made it, but there's a lot of people with Portal de Luz, and it's not because of the age of the carving.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do with the presences, the spirits that work through the skulls. So I'm not totally sure if there's one spirit or if there's several spirits that are working through Portal de Luz, but there have been people who've had some amazing experiences with him, like even a Mayan elder who I met in Holland one time, and I don't share his name because I don't want to embarrass him. He thought that Portal de Luz was a very old skull, but he was fooled because Portal de Luz, not only the spirits that work through him, but the energy that the new skulls start to collect. Like if you put a new skull in the presence of an older one, what's going to happen? the older one is going to start giving energy to the new one, and the new one will no longer be a new one because it will be a collection of energies of the modern time, energies picked up from the older skulls. So I think that anyone who thinks, oh, these new skulls have no value, they're really missing out on a special opportunity because for example, quartz links into other dimensional frequencies and energies and spiritual beings who can actually put their energy into the skull, but it also has to do with who is we call it the caretaker or the guardian, the person, who has the skull. Um, they can only put frequencies of energies in there that the caretaker or guardian can deal with, because obviously, like if you meet like the Mitchell Hedges skull, which is on the cover of our book in Hungary, that's a very powerful skull, and sometimes people meet that skull and they're not ready for such a high frequency of energy. It overwhelms them. Whereas the new skulls have more of the frequencies of energies of today, but they can still incorporate parts of the older skulls as well, which is what I think has happened with Portal de Luz, because, he's been in the presence of several of the ancient skulls. But still, there is a unique frequency energy presence that's different than any of the ancient skulls I've ever met. And of course, um, I've had a spiritual person who read the skull and said that that skull had been made specifically waiting to meet me. So it means even before I met the skull, there were energies and frequencies placed into it that resonate with the essence of who I am. So it's like, the guardian has something to do with the energies that are present in the skull, even if it's a very old one. So I don't agree in any way that the new skulls have no value. They do. They serve a purpose. All the skulls work together collectively. And, like even if some people were to take a small skull and put it on a photograph of an ancient skull in the Hungarian book, the
Mhm.
energies of the ancient skull would move into their new skull. And, so it's just like all the crystal skulls have tremendous potential, how they can be developed. But the key is the guardian. How's the guardian working with that skull? What is the guardian, doing? Is it the guardian taking the skull to sacred sites like Portal de Luz has been in crop circles? He's been to Stonehenge. He's been to Mexico on one of the pyramids there. He's been to Peru and the sacred sites there and other places in England, some of the standing stones they have. So, it's like what Portal de Luz told me as a new skull is it's like he's going through his own evolution. The more experiences that we have together, whether we're doing sessions with people, taking sacred sites, doing lectures, exposing him to new energies, he's gathering this and incorporating it, and it's just, bringing him more and more to life. So the new skulls are like little children. They have to go through an evolutionary process, being brought to life by the guardian, and because of the spirits that work through them, their energy could become stronger over time. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Is the best way I can describe it. It's between the guardian and the new skull. What happens?
I think that you've just said a lot of information that is very useful people for the people here, because many people ask me the question, I don't know if I believe in crystal skull or no. Is it enough if I just buy a smaller one? They don't want to invest a lot of money, but they would like to try the energy. And they never know what to do with the crystal skull, how to get connected with the skull, how to realize whether it's active or not. So it's good to take them to sacred places. It's good to connect them with ancient crystal skulls, even through image, you say.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes,
good to use some sounds or music. So it can all help to create a relationship between the skull and the guardian, or the
that's
one who
correct.
takes care about it.
Right. And what'll happen is, as the more that you meditate with your crystal skull, or take it out into nature, like by a body of water or a beautiful, on the mountain we talked about, or a beautiful scenic area. What'll happen is the skull will start communicating with the guardian, but what people don't understand is the way the communication happens is by whatever inner gift you have that's the strongest. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, for me, my two strongest gifts, which I use when I do my sessions, is I feel energy, and I have my mind's voice, where there's information that comes in from spirit or from the spirit of the skull. I hear it. And so it's a question of trusting those gifts. And then there's some people who have visions, and some people have intuition. So the crystal skull that you receive, once it's awakened, okay, and that's one of the things that Katrina does. Like, if people order skulls through us, and they can do that, any of the people that you talk to and share this with, if they would like to get a skull through us, we have, I don't have the access to that one, but we have a replica of one of our skulls that our carvers in China are making. We call them Geronimo Juniors. Um, they're not that large, they're a fairly small skull. Is that if the skull is prepared and the person starts working with it, then they get their own communication from their own skull. And it's not going to always come in the same way as it comes for somebody else. So, in other words, somebody else is intuitively hearing things, how to work with their skull. That's how it works for them. But another person may get visions, may have dreams, may just know, just to have this knowing. I just need to go outside to the lake with the skull or whatever, and trust that process. And eventually, every guardian gets their own communication from their skull. And then the crystal skull starts giving suggestions how to work together. Like when I went to Europe, Portal de Luz kept saying to me, "Dad, we got to visit the crop circles. Take me to the crop circles." He was doing it so much, he was driving me crazy almost. Okay, so I had to take him to the crop circles. So we went to some in Holland, we went to some in England, and he received whatever energies he needed to receive from the crop circle. So you can never make a mistake. See, people worry about, am I doing it right? Am I going to make a mistake? No, remember, this is the key to everything in life. It's about an experience. So you get a crystal skull, a small one, and you have an experience with it. Like, let's say, for example, you're doing a certain meditation, nothing's happening. Well, that may not be the right way to communicate with the skull. Then the next day you wake up, and all of a sudden you have this total new idea that's come to you about, oh, I need to do a meditation with music by this lake by my house. And that's how the communication starts. So the key is to experiment and to trust. You know, Before I had Portal de Luz, I never had a crystal skull. So I had been talking to people who are guardians with crystal skulls and asking them questions, but I didn't know, when, as a matter of fact, when I had him in the beginning, I'm going like, okay, now I finally have my own. What do I do? The same question as the other people are asking. And then just different experiences started to show up. And eventually we formed a communication. So that communication could happen very quickly. It was fairly quickly with him. I mean, like the first day I had him next to me and I slept, I woke up and he's all of a sudden I understand about the etheric energy network that I see in the sky, where all the crystal skulls that exist on the planet kind of link together with each other. They have some place up there, like there's an etheric image, but that's a more complicated thing. But that was the first thing that comes to me after I wake up, through him, that he's telling me about this etheric network. And I keep seeing it in the sky where all the skulls are interconnected. So you just have to be patient. You know, um, Really, the key with everything is what you think and what you believe. You know, if you believe you're not going to have any success, then you won't. And if you're just totally open and just say, I don't know what's going to happen, it's all going to be a great adventure. I'm just going to go with it, however long it takes or whatever happens each day, then it'll be a more natural process. And everybody's process is different. So, you could listen to my process, and there might be certain things I say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That feels right for me. Then that's what's right for you. But the way that it works for me, probably there's no one else on the planet is going to work exactly, the same way. There'll be some things that will be the same. There'll be things that will be different. So it's just this trust. You just have to trust in yourself and your own gifts. And it just all works out perfectly.
What was the point when you decided to research about crystal scars and all these phenomena that are about the invisible world? Was it already before having Porta de Luz, or everything started after having it?
No, I actually started to become interested, let's call it the paranormal or the spiritual,
Yes.
in my early 20s, like right after I got out of college. So I didn't have Portal de Luz until
So, yes.
1999. So that's when I was in my 40s. So I had actually been involved with the spiritual and the paranormal for 20 years. And I had known about crystal skulls, of course, and these things. But I didn't think, I didn't know if I would ever have my own crystal skull or not. And when I first started, I really didn't have a strong interest in crystal skulls. That came up in 1983, as I talked about probably in the Hungarian book,
Yes,
when I
yes.
met the amethyst crystal skull,
Mm,
um, me. So
yes.
I have a very strong um, heart connection with that skull and gratitude, because that was the one that really awakened this idea inside of me that I had a connection. And then, as I've had experiences, I've seen past lives in Atlantis and Tibet, Lemuria, probably on board spacecraft, inner Earth, all these different places where I've probably had connections with crystal skulls. So it came later. Of course, I knew about the Mitchell Hedges skull probably when I was starting, because everybody had seen,
The top.
pictures of it or the books, or Arthur C. Clarke's had a TV show that, they continue to share periodically, where they show that skull. So I knew about that, but I didn't have any indication prior to meeting that amethyst skull that I would be involved in this. And then it was like, once I met that skull, it opened up, I would say, my inner knowledge, inner information from other lifetimes, soul wisdom. And then I understood, hey, the crystal skulls have a key role to play to help bring world peace to our planet.
You were sharing about this year, your message is about this year, that this is an important year, this 2019. Can you just share some words with these people, what you think about this year will be about?
Yes. So first message I got is, I always do a meditation wherever I am when the prior year ends and the new year starts, that I'm in meditation. Excuse me. So first message was, this year we now have like 50%, more than 50% positive energy. What this means is that we need to pay attention to what we're thinking and what we're saying, because I believe that, like the media and the newspaper and even through the internet, that we get a lot of subliminal messages that are trying to keep people like in poverty consciousness. And I know, especially when I was in Hungary before, now I'm sure situation has changed, because this was like 2007, so it's like 12 years ago, um, that a lot of people, especially people who are following a spiritual path, think that they're not supposed to have a lot of money, because they watch and they see these wealthy people, what they do and how they destroy our planet. But I'm getting very strongly And everything that's created, which is created by man, is a part of God. And I look at it as like a resource. Like money is a resource that gives us the ability to create beautiful things and support projects and to share special knowledge and information. And so, what I am trying to do this year, so I have to be what we call in America the guinea pig, the test subject, is I'm working on um, reprogramming my subconscious to not accept these, well, basically they're lies because each person is a divine child of God, and our inheritance is to have abundance. And so, um, the reprogramming of the subconscious is part of what I'm doing, as well as drawing to myself programs and systems, which is in alignment with the energy of the crystal skull and spirit. You know, like there's a product that I'm working with, which is going to take the world by storm here very soon, called CBD oil. It comes from the hemp plant. And there's substances inside of it which our body needs, that a lot of people who have had chronic pain and all kinds of diseases which we can't even pronounce their name, the the miracle from Mother Earth that comes through the hemp plant is uh, inside of this oil. I don't know if Hungary it's legal to have it or not, but there are various countries in Europe that it's accepted. And last year in the United States, our president signed a bill, and now it can be sold anywhere. So usually other countries follow what the United States does. Not that we're a better country than your country, but for whatever reason, it's like a lot of things that happen here, then all of a sudden they happen all over the world. So um, the key is to watch your thoughts, what you're saying, what you're doing, and and another aspect of it, and this comes from a book which probably is translated into Hungarian. If you could find it, I really recommend that you read it. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He interviewed like 100 of the most successful people in the 1930s, and those people were successful because of what they thought, of what they believed. So it's time for our spiritual family, even though we may not know how will the abundance come, is that it is available, it's there. And we need to start to visualize, like there's certain projects and things that, I see inside of myself, which I have no idea how it will happen. And one of those projects is Spirit keeps saying, oh, you're going to go to Europe this year, which means we may come to Hungary too. We'll have to see how
Wow.
that works. So, um, over and over again, Spirit's telling me, you're going to take a trip to England first and then you'll go to Europe. So I have no idea how it's going to happen, but I'm visualizing it and I'm remembering, when I was in Europe before, because I lived in Holland from, when did I live there? 2001 to 2007. So I know Europe pretty well. Europe is like a home away from home. I'm always comfortable when I get a chance to return, and haven't had a chance to be there since 2011.
That's a long,
So,
that's a long
yeah,
period of time.
right. So this is one of the key messages, is about abundance. And then the other thing is that the vibration of Mother Earth keeps getting higher and higher and higher. So that means we're going to see more miraculous events take place. Like these are some of the things that I've seen on YouTube that people are recording. Time travelers are showing up, or extraterrestrials are appearing, or dimensional beings are showing up, or mystical beings are showing up. Like Sasquatch could be considered a mystical being, which some people also call Bigfoot. So what I see for this year is that as the vibration of the earth gets higher and higher, we're going to have more contact with the beings that are around us in the other dimensions. We're going to start to remember more of the soul wisdom that we have. And then the other thing is that as the world is more positive, this 50+%, it means the projects of light or or spiritual projects that we wish to create for the planet is going to get more and more help and support as well, and more people are going to want to come together and work together with each other. So for all of us who are on the spiritual path, we become a visible example of God's light. In other words, our friends and family, even though they've given us a hard time, let's say in the past, and go, "You're crazy. We don't understand what you believe in. You're working stuff." Um, they're going to start watching what you do, and eventually they're going to start coming to you and say, all those things you've been talking about, I'm now starting to have it show up in my life. I want to understand it. So, um, so this is another thing I think that's going to happen this year, is there's going to be more people awakening to the spirituality and asking these questions, and we need to, be available to help people with that. So the crystal skulls obviously is one of the tools that we've been given, which is kind of like an anchor that's broadcasting these higher frequencies of energies as well. So, there's a lot of people who, when they have contact with crystal skulls, it like flips them and they become more open and active. So, and of course, I know you're supporting our World Peace meditations that we do on the 13th of every month. And
Several people from our group always joins your meditation. Yes.
right. So every time our extended family, and we never have any idea how many people are joining us on these meditations, but we're building on top of the energies that we started back in 2008 when we started to do the meditations in the beginning, or 2009, I'm sorry, January 1st. And then we have these different places all over the world that, like, in Hungary, when you do it, that are anchoring the energy too. So I know we have people all over Europe and the United States, and some people in South America and in Asia that are joining us on the meditation. And this is also helping our world to go into a higher state, because we just keep building on top of all the energies that we've created since January 1st, 2009, when we started this. Um, so this is kind of what I think is going on for 2019, and it's just going to keep accelerating. And I also think, too, you need to pay attention to these, we call it cryptocurrency here, the digital currencies that are starting to come out, like Bitcoin. This is helping to distribute the wealth. And I'm reading more stories now as we go into 2019 that more and more companies are looking at this. And I think there's going to be a big breakthrough with it this year as well. There was in 2017, then it went down. I think it's going to start coming back up. So all of these different activities are going on because the destiny of our planet is that we will see total peace. Like there's, I call him Argus. That's the name of my future self in this lifetime, because on the level of spirit, time and space doesn't really exist. I know it's hard to understand this, when we're used to, I'm here in Georgia in the United States and I'm talking to Agni in Hungary. I think you're by what, Budapest somewhere close by?
Yeah. Budapest. Yes, in the capital. Yes.
Yeah. And so that's thousands of miles, but on the level of spirit, there is no distance. We're in the same place and at the same time. Um, and so more of this is going to start penetrating into our reality, I believe. And so anyway, this future part of me, Arja, says, yes, where I am, which is beyond the year of 2040, as far as I understand, your world, our world has total peace. So this is what we're working on. So I guess the most important and key message is, in working with the energy of the crystal skull, how can we be a catalyst or a vehicle for bringing this peaceful, calming, healing energy to our planet, and so other people are exposed to it. So when we do meditation, when we come together, or when we go out and do a personal meditation with the crystal skull, or we share the crystal skull with other people, this is all part of a process. And everything that every person is doing is important. It's not that, well, you know, I've been involved for, I don't know, 35, 36 years. What I'm doing is not more important than what you're doing in Hungary. Each part is important for the whole. You know, different people are inspired to do different things and to work in a different way, but all of it fits together. All of it's important. Every person is important. Every crystal skull is important, whether it's a very, very old skull or ancient skull, or if it's a new skull. They all love each other. When I talk to our skulls, most of them are the newer skulls, you know and they tell us, Dad, and they call me Dad. They say, Dad, we don't have any, we don't look up to the ancient ones or our older brothers and sisters. We're all part of the same family, and we have great joy when we can interact with the human family and help the human family to learn how to live at peace with each other. So that's always been their message.
So grateful for all your words. I think that people will love what you say because, you know, it's not easy to speak about this topic when people are in fear. So you are a kind of small window for us, for another country, for energy, for inspiration. So I'm really grateful for your time that you could share these words with us.
I'm sure that there will be a return visit for sure. And also, too, if people have additional questions,
Yes.
and they can ask, and you translate for me in English, and I will answer for them.
Okay.
So, and then the other thing I've talked with you about, Agni, is to translate our free Crystal Skull ebook perhaps into
Yes.
Hungarian. So hopefully this could be done before the end of the year. It has a lot of good information in there as well that could answer a lot of people's questions, some good pictures. So that's what we did for the conference. The version of the ebook we had back in 2007, which has been, expanded greatly since then. People received a copy at the conference. So this would
I
be
will try
up
my best to find some volunteers because I think a group would be much better than only one person to do it so that we can have this translation and then I will inform you what I can.
okay.
Okay.
Very good. Well, again, a great honor and privilege to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank
Most
you.
of the time I'm on the side you are interviewing people. So sometimes it's good to be interviewed instead of always interviewing people. So this way you don't have to think very much about what you're doing. You just answer questions. That's really easy. So
And I'm really grateful for your words and have a nice time and I hope to see you one day here back in Hungary.
yes, definitely.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you.
Okay. Karsanam.